Today on The Real Story, Connecticut's next legislative session will kick off this week, and there's a lot of work to do. Republicans and Democrats listing off their priorities in this short session. This morning, we talk with Senate Majority Leader Democrat Bob Duff and the Senate GOP leader Kevin Kelly for a preview of the session. Plus, COVID numbers are trending down. The city of Hartford deciding to end its mask mandate. But the threat and the impact of the virus still remains. We're going to catch up with Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin to see how the city is faring now almost 2 years in. It's all today on The Real Story. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on The Real Story. I'm Jenn Bernstein. Connecticut's 2022 legislative session will kick off on Wednesday. It's a short session this year, adjourning on May 4th, which means there's a lot to get done in 12 weeks. Leaders have begun laying out their priorities. Governor Lamont pushing for tax cuts, Democrats calling for taking a look at mental health, Republicans calling for criminal justice reform, and a big one on the table, figuring out what to do with Governor Lamont's executive powers. His current orders expire on February 15th. A lot to talk about with two top leaders, Senate Majority Leader Democrat Bob Duff and Senate Republican Leader Kevin Kelly. Thank you both so much for being on The Real Story once again.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay, so I want to start with Governor Lamont's legislative proposal on tax cuts, because certainly people's ears go up when they hear tax cuts in Connecticut. We have a projected surplus of more than $1 billion, which is, new news here in Connecticut compared to what we've been dealing with in the last couple of years. Some of his ideas: restoring full eligibility to the property tax credit depending on income, increasing the property tax credit to $300, car tax reductions, several others in there. I want to start with you, Senator Duff. Do these things sound like something the legislature is going to take up and do?
Well, look, I'm glad that we're able to even have this conversation. For 10 years now, Democrats have been working very hard to balance our budgets, pay down our debts that have been ignored for a better part of 60 or 70 years, and for the fact that we've made some very difficult decisions and many times unpopular decisions in order to get to this point. We knew that a lot of the work that we're doing was going to be long-term in nature, and it would put us exactly in this position. So I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation and talk about tax relief for the people of the state of Connecticut. For me, I think that anything we can do to help on property taxes or car taxes is going to be extremely important for the people of the state. I have been an advocate of eliminating the car tax across the state of Connecticut because it's an unfair and aggressive tax. But I know that there'll be a lot of other proposals too. So let's work together. Let's work in a bipartisan way to figure out the best way to give tax relief to the people of the state. But I'm certainly encouraged that the governor has come up with ideas in offering some tax relief. And I know that legislators themselves, like myself, will have ideas as well.
Senator Kelly, I know that you all were really pushing for a reduction in the sales tax. Talk about that, and then also tell us what you think about Governor Lamont's proposals here. Do they go far enough?
Well, clearly it's an election year when the governor is proposing tax relief. And what we've proposed is a tax cut in the sales tax. And the reason for that is something that can be imposed right now. We can do that as soon as next week or, by the 15th when we're in session. And it's available to every single Connecticut citizen. It's broad-based. Everybody can enjoy it. And we're going to bring relief now when people are experiencing a 40-year high in inflation and having difficulty making ends meet. This is something that's going to help reduce the cost of goods and services here in the state of Connecticut. What the governor proposes is tax relief. And make no mistake about it, we are also Republicans in favor of tax relief. And many of these ideas may be good ideas. But the difference is that it's tax credits. So you have to own a home or a car, and you're not going to get the relief now. It's only after you've paid taxes to the state of Connecticut and then file a return to claim the taxes to get the money back. And that's the difference. You got to ask the government, pay the government to get the money back, where our plan goes into effect immediately. It goes in now, and it leaves the money in the taxpayer's pocket. It's going to help families today not next year. And today they're suffering, and that's why we want to address those issues now.
Senator Duff, does he have a point here? I mean, it has been so difficult for people across Connecticut for the past 2 years. I mean, people have been in dire straits. We have the state doing well financially. Is there a way to give people relief right away and help people?
Right, and this is why we had a bipartisan budget this year that didn't attract all Republicans. The Democrats wrote it. We had a number of Republicans who supported the budget because it did actually bring a lot of extra money back to our municipalities, which helps with property taxes, helps reduce property taxes or make sure that the increases are not as high. I know in the city of Norwalk, we brought back a lot of extra money, which helped to keep down any kind of property tax increase. In fact, we saw no property tax increase, and some people may have even seen a tax cut. So that's why when we work in Hartford, we work very hard to bring back money to our communities. And that's why I'm also fighting so hard for car tax relief. I don't like the car tax. I never have. And I think it should be gone tomorrow as well. I think that would be immediate savings for people all across the state. And so, that you think about the fact that in Norwalk, the mill rate is around 30, and in neighboring Darien, it might be half of that, and for the same exact car. And so it's uneven, it's regressive, it's unfair. And frankly, I think a lot of people find it annoying when they have to pay that tax on July 1st. So that's why I think that having these discussions are good. I think having the executive branch talk about these kind of issues. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle are talking about it too. Legislative Democrats are talking about it. So let's come up with the best solutions for the people of the state.
It does sound like you all might be able to come to some kind of conclusion that brings relief this year to the residents of Connecticut. Senator Duff, I want to stay with you for a moment. Tell us what your top legislative priority is from a leadership point of view. What is it in this short session that you all are laser focused on getting done?
Well, I think, the issue of tax relief obviously is very important. I think we're also going to be talking about mental health and how we can make sure that we bring better coordination of mental health. We have a lot of resources here in the state of Connecticut with regard to mental health, but they're very detached from each other. And a lot of that has been done over decades, and it's been done purposely for many, many reasons that we don't have time to get into today. But I think we need better coordination of mental health services, especially as we've seen through this pandemic. We need better coordination from the schools into the community to our nonprofits and other places, our hospitals. But that's a huge, huge priority. I'd also say continuing to make sure our state is safe and healthy when it comes to COVID and our response and all the things that we're doing to keep Connecticut as a leader. As of right now, Connecticut is extremely low on our COVID numbers, and let's keep it that way. We're very proud of that. I've gone through a very difficult time over the last 6 to 8 weeks. Lastly, I'll give a personal priority of mine, which is data privacy. We've seen in the news companies like Meta, which is Facebook, lost $10 billion because of the fact that Apple has tightened up their data privacy, which is good. It's good news, but it should be done. Government should be putting guardrails on data and data privacy and not just leaving it to the private sector. And I think that that's going to be very important for us, and it's very important for consumers across the state.
No doubt law is behind technology in many ways. All right, State Senator Kevin Kelly, want to get to you right now. Republican priorities, give it to us.
Well, first and foremost, we have to make Connecticut more affordable. Our healthcare systems are way too expensive. It's unaffordable healthcare. We have unaffordable housing. We're the second most taxed state in the nation. And so we need to bring relief to Connecticut families now. We also need to make Connecticut safer. I think many people across our state are not feeling as comfortable and peaceful in their own homes. And when they go out and they visit with people, they're always afraid, and they've gotten in the back of their mind that their communities aren't as safe as they used to be. And we need to address that so that people feel safe in their homes. We also have to look at dealing with the fentanyl issue. The fact that fentanyl appeared in a grammar school and someone passed away because of that was not only a great loss a parent should never have to endure, but it was also something very traumatic for the fellow school children, and also the fact that edible marijuana products are also making their way to our children. So we got to do a better job at protecting our kids. We also need to make Connecticut more accountable, transparent, and open. For the past 23 months, we have not had an open government, and we need to make sure that our the processes and the laws that we pass under the Capitol Dome are open to all people, even those that don't have the ability to get into these processes through a virtual medium. And then last but not least, and this is something very important, Connecticut's dead last in job growth and income growth. And I think we can do better than that. We have to start looking at ways that we can build and create and make jobs here in the state of Connecticut. And that starts with what we do best. And that's, we have an insurance capital. That's what we like to claim ourselves as being. We need to create more insurance jobs and to build on our defense industry. We have the best and the brightest right here in Connecticut. Our labor is top notch. Our schools continue to produce students that are second to none. And we need to capitalize on what we do best and grow those industries so that we can continue to put Connecticut families to work.
Talk about access to Connecticut residents here, because this has become such a heated issue, especially if you're on social media. Wow. We're talking about the Capitol being open for business, for people able to come in. Obviously, the Capitol had been shut down during the pandemic for, what was it? The last legislative or two legislative sessions ago where you all didn't even have session. Then this past session, you all were able to come in, but public access was restricted. And then this coming session, as I understand it, the public is allowed on the first floor. We're having virtual meetings, so anyone at home who wants to listen and also participate, you still can, and you could before, in case you didn't know that. But this has become a politicized debate, really, between Republicans and Democrats about opening up the Capitol. So Senator Duff, your view on this?
Well, we're gonna have public hearings for the first. All of our public hearings, at least over the first month, will be virtual, and frankly, that has actually been a boon to public participation. What we saw last year was more people testified. We got there were more public hearings than ever before. More people testified than ever before, and there were more pieces of testimony than ever before. So again, from a guy coming from a guy from Norwalk. If I had a constituent who wanted to literally drive an hour or more to get to Hartford and wait a couple hours for their 3 minutes of testimony and then drive back, that's a huge disincentive. What we found is that the public likes to be able to watch the hearings online, and then when their name is called, give their 3 minutes of testimony, maybe answer a couple questions, and then they're done. They don't have to take a day off of work. They don't have to make other arrangements for childcare or other types of things. So what we found is that it's been great for the people of the state to be able to participate in their government. People can still send in written testimony if they'd like, but I'm very glad that we're going to continue public hearings online, because I think it's been a great way to involve the public in ways that we've never been able to before.
Is there an intention, Senator Duff, of opening up the Capitol to the public within this session, or is that a wait-and-see game at this point?
Well, like I said, the public can come on the first floor of the Capitol. Legislators can bring guests to their offices. We'll see how the numbers go. Obviously, it's a public building. We can't, say to people you have to be vaccinated to come in. We don't even, legislators, we're not sure. Obviously, they should be getting tested if they're not. So we want to make sure that we keep everybody safe. We can't have a time where, our nonpartisan offices are shut down because COVID is running through them. So we've got to be very careful about a short session like this. But intention, of course, is to open up the Capitol as soon as it is safe to do so, and it's safe for everybody. Those who are immunocompromised, those who may have other special arrangements, but we want to make sure that we're always listening, which I think why the public hearing position we're taking is a good one.
Okay, Senator Kelly, I'm going to give you the last word on this one. I know you all have a bit of a different position on this. Your thoughts?
Well, as a legislator from Stratford, I sympathize with Senator Duff's comment that, coming from Fairfield County to Hartford is a long drive. And so a virtual ability to get into the hearing may be beneficial to some folks. But those are the ones that are privileged enough to have the connectivity to this virtual reality. There are many people in our state, almost a quarter of our state, have no connection, whether it's because they don't have the technology or there's no broadband in their neighborhood, and therefore they don't have the same rights and privileges to be able to go. And the process shouldn't be set up so that some voices don't have that capability, and they shouldn't be just put to a position where they have to write their position in. They should still have an opportunity to go and participate. And I think that's what's so important, is it's the people's government. It's not our government. It's not our staff's government. It's the people's government. And they should have a right to be able to be physically present if that's the way that they have to communicate. After all, when we don't have the public hearings at the building, the legislators don't go there. So many times when you drive into the Capitol, you go past to the parking lot, you'll see people out on Capitol Avenue with signs that say they're in favor of or opposed to certain initiatives. Well, where does that First Amendment speech congregate in a virtual reality? Or many times somebody will come up, I see it when it's an ARP with red shirts, $11.99 with purple, AFSCME has Kelly Green. And somebody will go and testify about an issue, but it becomes palpable when you look out and you see 400 or 500 individuals with the same color T-shirt that lend their support to that voice. Where does that speech congregate? It doesn't. And as a result, our process is diminished because of that. And let's get back to the original concept here. It's a people's government. They should be the ones that have the right to be able to come and speak. And all voices should have that access. You know, maybe we need a hybrid system, but we shouldn't be shutting people out.
I was just going to say, maybe at some point, it seems there might be a middle ground here where that can be achieved as, you know, COVID numbers go down and you all decide it's a good time for that. But State Senator Kevin Kelly, State Senator Bob Duff, really appreciate both of your takes on such important issues. We could obviously have done a whole show on the issue of people coming into the Capitol, but glad to get a session preview with you both, and I think I'm going to be there on opening day, so hopefully we'll see you.
We'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
You both be well.
Take care.
All right, coming up on The Real Story, Hartford has ended its mask mandate. Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin citing falling COVID numbers and a promise to drop the mandate when it was time. Coming up, we're going to check in on how Hartford is doing almost 2 years into this pandemic. Mayor Luke Bronin is on deck, when we return.